Have either of you guys any foot and mouth stories? You say something embarrassing. Snippins, I know you do.
You're never right.
I'm here with Snippins, Weenus, also known as Precious Boo Boo, and Lishy. And today we're talking foot and mouth disease with friends who love to give each other the business.
Okay, so I live on a corner. So a lot of times when I say my neighbors across the street, I mean the neighbors like on the side of my house. And there's a woman that owns a house over there. She's a really nice girl. I like her. And she moved out and she started renting her house. And I didn't know if I even really noticed that new people were living there, but I saw her outside talking to people and I ran out and said hi to her. And she's like, "Oh, I'm going to introduce you to my friends. They live in this house now."
Wait. You have to go back because you forgot one of the most perfect parts of the beginning.
I don't know how to describe that.
No, I do. Tell them what you were grilling up before
I
you
was
started.
frying onions. It turned out they were potatoes.
And then while
How do you mix that up?
Because they were in a freezer.
Exactly.
I had frozen them, and so they were just in a freezer bag, and I didn't label it, so I thought they were.
Oh,
onions.
they were like chopped already?
Yeah, I thought they were onions, but it turned out they were potatoes.
And then while you were doing this, you looked up at the window of your kitchen and you saw this lady outside. Now continue.
And I was like, "Oh, hey, I should go say hi to her." So I ran out to say hi to her. And
Is the oven still going, or the stovetop still going?
Of course, I got things to do. Anyway, so I go out there and she introduces me to her friend. Her friend is very tall and thin. Very tall, thin, beautiful woman. The way she was standing, she was like turned sideways and kind of looked up and was arching her back and like had her hands on her stomach. And I said before, I just didn't think, things fly out of my mouth. And I was like, "Oh, are you pregnant?" And she screeched and ran across the street to her house and went inside.
Just real quickly before we continue with the snippets, Boo Boo and Lishy, do you think it's ever a good time to ask a woman if she's pregnant?
If you're a woman.
No.
Oh, no. It doesn't matter the gender.
Well, it's not like, oh, she was like really big. And I was like, "Oh, are you pregnant?" It was the way that she was like caressing her belly and like leaning
Doing the
back and
rub.
like rubbing her. She's a very tall, thin lady.
What was the screech? Can you mimic the screech?
I can't do it. I don't have that kind of voice. She screeched and like threw her hands over her face and ran across the street to her house. And I was like, wow.
Have you talked to her since?
Yeah, I immediately went home and made a gift basket.
With Similac.
No, I make
Pump.
soap. I make like soap and body oil and all kinds of. So I just
did you knit her little booties for her baby?
No, I brought her a gift.
A onesie.
And I apologized profusely and said, "You don't look pregnant. It was more of your mannerisms that made me ask."
And your aneurysm.
Mannerisms.
Well, I mean, if you had told her about the part of the potato/onions, I think she would have understood.
She would have understood that I was already flustered off my game. It was a whole evening. Yeah.
So have you guys, either of you guys ever said something?
I have one with Precious Jazasco. We were playing Dark Age of Camelot when it first came out. And your Precious Jasco, who was a young stud at the time, he was waiting in line at EB Games, or not EB, what was the game store in the mall? He was waiting in line there, and an older woman standing in front of him happened to chat him up and told him what server to go on, and we ended up joining her guild and stuff like that. And, you know, we were young and shitty, so I used to just crack jokes to him all the time about how she wanted him to come over to the house and change light bulbs, and, you know, here's some lemonade, take your shirt off. Like, we would do that bit that I would make fun of him with. One time I was DMing him in game while we were playing these jokes. I had done like the / message and I forgot his name and I typed her name. And I said, "The lady wants you to come over and be hot, young guy." And she said, "Excuse me?" And I said, "Oh, fuck." It was that foot in the mouth situation, which is the worst. It's the worst thing you could do online is you accidentally DM the person you're mocking.
Right.
That's not ideal.
That's a backpedal that you can't even do. In person you can, but with text it's very difficult to backpedal.
Yes. And before that, it was the your friend three-ways you with somebody secretly on the line, you know, and they say, "What do you think of Bonies?" And you're like, "I think Bonies is a piece of shit. He makes Snippins change her shoes when she's at his house." And then Boney says, "Fuck you," because he is on the line.
Do you have any foot and mouth situations, Precious Lishy?
Yeah, I've said stupid things, but
Well, it can't. It's very difficult to measure up to Snippins' level of
Are
magie.
you
You had
pregnant?
to be there.
Oh, I can tell you one my brother did when we went to BlizzCon.
I love this one.
We went to BlizzCon. My brother did a bunch of horrible stuff that day. Horrible stuff. But the one that stands out, and my friend Mike was there with us, and Mike still brings this up to this day. And this was like over 10 years ago, but still Mike always asks, like, how's your brother? And like laughs. So we were standing in line waiting to buy these dumb Warcraft mugs or whatever. There was this lady and she was standing behind us. And my brother starts talking to her. And then he's like, oh, so what are you getting? And she's like, oh, I'm buying this thing for my husband. And he's like, oh, where's your husband? And she's like, oh, he's over there. He always makes me wait in line for him. And my brother says, oh, he must be well endowed to have you stand in line for him. And then Mike and I both, like, our eyes get really big. And we
What
just
the
get
fuck?
really quiet. And then she's like, oh, you, or whatever. And then after she leaves, we're like, you can't say that to someone. And he's like, what? And we're like, you said your husband must have a giant hog in order to stand in line. And he's like, that's not what it means. Well endowed just means he's the spritz. He's ahead of his game. And we're like, no, there's no way that that's what it means. And he's like, no, it means he's a real man about town. And we're like, no. So he's just walking around telling people that they're well endowed, which is horrifying. You can't do that.
It's one of those technically true but no things.
I mean, like,
no. In context, there's no context.
Well, yeah, it's
When
the kind
means anything appropriate in that situation.
I think because when I've had this conversation with him, this is the hill he's chosen to die on. The definition he has on his side, but that's not how anybody uses the words.
if someone says to you, you must be well endowed, you think he means you have a giant hog, right?
Unless you're like adding context to it, like, boy, your husband's wallet must be well endowed.
But he didn't do that. He just said
Your husband must be packing.
right. That's
He's
what
got you waiting in line, lady.
He must be well endowed in society, which still is weird, and I don't think he would even use it that way. But that's what he meant. But I just don't see that choice of vocabulary is not the best. Also, during that time, I don't know if you remember if you played Warcraft before in those days, Precious Boo Boo, but there was a time where you tried to get into the dungeons, the swirly, and you would run into it, and they couldn't load any more instances, and you got trapped. And then other players would wait there to kill people who were trying to get into the dungeons and they couldn't. It was a big problem at that time. And my brother goes to the information desk and just starts running into the round information desk with his hips over and over again, screaming, cannot make new instance, cannot make new instance, cannot make new instance.
Did
And
they
he
love
didn't
it?
explain why he was doing it. That's what he did at a BlizzCon. So then I had to try to explain to them he means. They were like, oh, sir, we're working very hard to fix the problem. Like, he did a bunch of horrible shit that day.
A developer about town.
But dry humping the information booth to try and get them to help you is not the best idea. He also did that.
That story was well endowed.
It sure was. Your husband must have a big sweaty hog for you to stand in line for him.
He's like, oh my God, he does.
Oh, he does.
Oh, dear.
But yeah.
I like that she wasn't even offended. She was like, oh my.
No, she was delighted. She was delighted, which is good because if she started yelling at us, I don't know how we would have got out of it.
No, you would have been in deep shit.
How do you backpedal out of telling someone the husband must have a giant schlong?
There's no coming back from that.
You gotta hope she says, honey, like you wouldn't believe.
I wasn't hoping for that either.
That's the best case scenario, though.
I don't want any of it.
Because if she says no, now the husband's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, she's like, oh, he has as a Snippins expression. He has a micro peen. You have no idea what it's. It's just there's no answer that you could get that you'd want. Oh, I do have one foot and mouth story. When I was in Krav Maga, my teacher was very mean, and so
You finish.
he was he's one of those guys. He used to say, always be first. You don't know if a fight is coming, be first. Then you know a fight is coming because you started. That was his.
Just completely unethical tips.
Just the worst.
You have to tell the always finish thing because that was super unethical.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, well, always finish means you have to kill the guy.
Yes.
No, always finish.
You have to always finish. You take gun from him, you finish.
Yeah, you take gun, you shoot him. Why would you not shoot him? He tried to shoot you. And then one guy in the class was like, well, can't I just give him my wallet? He's like, give me your wallet. Yeah, but anyway, he's one of those guys, so you can't say anything to him. So the air conditioner was broken, and it was in LA, so it was really hot in there. And we have to do all these dumb push-ups and crap. And they brought in this stupid fan, just blowing hot air around was awful. He was like, okay, let's go 5 more. And I was like, hey, it's really hot in here. And he's like, oh, it's hot in here? What if you were on the surface of the sun and a sun monster was like, let's fight? Would you be like, it's too hot in here? Let's go 5 more. And I was like, well, actually, you can't really stand on the surface of the sun, sir. And he's like, 6 more for you. For you, 6. And he gave me an extra one because I was getting snippety with him. But I wasn't getting snippety. You can't stand on the surface of the sun. There's no sun monster. What is he
You're
talking
being
about?
snippy. You know what he means. He's telling you to fucking finish. You finish. You always finish.
Always finish. Always finish. This one time he grabbed one of our students, and he's like, okay, I will show you now how to grab him. Okay, he grabbed him by, like, he put him in kind of a weird sideways headlock, and he's like, from this position, I'm ready to give him head. And he meant headbutt. But you can't laugh, because if you laugh, he's going to make you do stuff.
Show me what position it was. I'll tell you.
I was just shaking. I was laughing so much. I couldn't laugh. And then finally somebody started laughing and we all could laugh. But like everyone was waiting for the one person to laugh. And then I was like, well, I mean, if you give him head, that's really going to de-escalate the situation real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And then he can do 5 more.
Nothing's more disarming than a good old-fashioned blowjob.
Yeah.
From a headlock position.
That's a great way to make friends. You know what I mean? That's a real move. And then you do have to let him finish.
Yeah.
When
I appreciate when they make it a point to finish in a timely manner. I have jaw problems.
That's only if they're well endowed.
It doesn't even matter.
Push it.
Said no girl ever.
It doesn't matter how big it is. Hurry up. I don't want to be here all day.
You got things to do.
Don't pull my ears. I know what I'm doing.
So I have tallied our votes, and feel free to write in the comments section who you think is never right in this episode.
I have jaw problems.
No. Snippins, no.
You're never right. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell if you want more content from the Never Right podcast.